All praises to the Most High God, the God of the creation, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the God of Israel, the God of the holy chosen people. It's been a minute because I left West Africa, which was a great experience, but not just a great experience, a revelation of the time and the season that we're in. Because if we don't prepare an exit plan, then we will be trapped. There was a time for the captivity. There was a time and a season and a cycle in which we were supposed to be in captivity. That time has been lifted. The physical captivity in some instances was lifted, but the mental slavery was placed upon our people. The mental slavery was a blockade that kept our minds locked into this box, that kept us from having the ability to think outside of the box, to become one again with the creation. So I had to take a week off. Not a week off, but it took a week for my soul to come back into my body, because when I left West Africa, I got on the plane just in the flesh form, and my spirit had to reconnect back over here, and that took a minute. It didn't want to leave Africa. Anyway, the experience that I experienced in West Africa was that the purpose of the trip was to reconnect the African Edenic family again, to put the head back on the body, because Joseph's brothers sold him to Egypt. So when we try to accuse them of that, if we don't learn to have compassion and forgiveness to our brothers and sisters who at the time went according to prophecy. See, we keep acting like individual people are doing these things. These are spirits. Spirits control the body. Demons after demons have been unleashed into this world since the fall of Adam. There were moments when the righteous were able to contain them and put them back down into the waters beneath the earth, but they continue to resurface. So when you understand from the spiritual point of view, the spirit world in which the Creator created before we got and manifested and stuck into this body that we're in, then you will understand that people are doing things according to times and seasons. In order to know the time and seasons, we must know the prophecies. So our brothers and sisters on the continent recognized and realized that they too were punished. They too were part of the curse. They didn't know that they were Judah. They didn't know that they were sons of Jacob. They didn't know that they were Israel. 80% of the slave trade, from what I understand, most of it left from the shores of the Gold Coast, Ghana. Now, the territory might be smaller today according to the way they carved it out, but that whole territory was that whole West Coast. Now it makes sense that that's the shores that they came from, and that's where we were pushed to. So now that we're coming back together, and the reason I say that is because the brother who we call ourselves the Israelites that are here, who consider themselves to be African American, which was a title and a name that was given to us to keep us confused and oppressed. Why would we be named after two Italian demon-worshipping heathens? Africa, Vespuso, Africanus, Vespusi, and Americanos Vespuso. So anyway, the point about this being said is that they have labeled us. He said you will be called a byword. You will be in astonishment. So when they gave us the names, that means that the Roman Empire, which is modern day America, still hold the children of God captive since 70 AD when the fall, and they was there 168 years before the coming of Yahushua, the Mashiach. The Romans had invaded after, and the Greeks were there 300 years before that. So we have been in almost 3,000 years cycle of not being in tune with the true Yah. What am I trying to tell you here now? So when they gave us the name African American, then they let you know that this is the secret code that's going with the Illuminated and the Masons and all of them, that we are still property of the Roman Church, which is the synagogue and the house of Satan, all combined. We still belong, we are still identified with being slaves of Rome. Rome moved to America because we're talking about spirits now. So they established this empire, which is the dragon, which represents the great empire of the satanic force on this planet. Headquartered in modern day Jerusalem, modern day Rome, and Babylon the Great. If you can see this now and you can look through history, you will start, if you have a spiritual mind, because we're talking about Isaiah, eyes that see not. Now I'm trying to give you eyes again and ears to open up to hear. What have you been listening to and what have you been seeing? If the scriptures say that we have eyes and we see not, what have you been seeing? It makes you question. So I looked up the word as usual, because all languages, everything comes out of the Hebrew thought. I don't have time to go into scientific scholarly to tell you that it's different. The vibrations of the Hebrew language for a Hebrew people. Now, if you another nation, this ain't for you then. This is for Yah's elect to understand. So out of Hebrew, so whatever language we dealing with, whatever country we in, if you translate it from Hebrew, then you will find out what it means to you as an Israelite. African American. I just looked up American to start with. So I broke it down to Amar, Mar, Rik. This is all the stuff that's in America. So in America, or in American from the Hebrew point of view, these are the translations when you break the word down into 3 and 4. Now I'm trying to tell you something. Let's go back a little bit before that, when I was breaking down when it said that the serpent was more subtle than any beast that God had created. Yahweh had created, the serpent was the most subtle. When we got to what do the definition of subtle mean, it means subtle, delicate, elusive, difficult to understand or perceive. So now, this is why I'm trying to tell you that they called you African American, and then they'll tell you, oh, it's just named after some explorers. These were not explorers. These were mercenaries coming to set up and establish the captivity for the children of God to be placed in these positions. The mental captivity. They named you after that to let you be described as who own your body and soul right now. Whose captives are you? No other nation on the planet is named the African or an American, named after some explorers, named after some agents for Satan. No other people but the people of Yah. Do you understand? Polish is Polish. But how did an Edenic, first of all, the name wasn't, how did the Edenic man be named after these two heathens? How did the son of Yah? Because the scripture said that he built a garden eastward in Eden. That means that the continent had to be Eden, because we know where the rivers that come out of the garden run straight into what we call Africa, which is an ancient Egyptian Greek word that I'm understanding that means motherland. But it describes it in the Torah as eastward in Eden. So now we know that we were the Edenic people. So how do we get the name of Africanus and America? So American, it means, okay, now when we say we understand subtle, so that's what I'm trying to tell you. You wouldn't have known this because the serpent is more subtle. Your captive is the most subtle beast of all the field. So you wouldn't know this. Except that now I'm showing you how to find it. It says difficult to understand or perceive, obscure, different in sound. This is how they place the name. It's different in sound. It makes you think you something. I'm an American. I'm a slave is what you mean. It says behaving or marked by a keen insight and the ability to penetrate deeply and thoroughly. This is what subtle means. Highly skillful, craftsman, cunning, made or contrived, ingenious, operating insidiously, subtle, poisons. Not loud, bright, noticeable, or obvious. A way of thinking, arguing, or creating a work of art. That's what the serpent is. So now, when they named us American, just the word American, it means whether, providing, supposing, on, court, unconditioned, in case. That's just am. Or mother. It means, so now it's letting you know that the aim, meaning that now America has become your mother. We are slaves and our masters were considered our fathers. Amar, said, utterance, a word. So now, that's part. Then it says, mar, bitter, absurd, embittered. Now, rik, Amerik. We get into rik now. Rik means vacuum, emptiness, vanity, vacuity. So all of these demons coming out of these letters, these attributes, because they know the power of words, and the Hebrew alphabet has angels. You got good angels, bad angels. The angels that are signed for your captivity, the people that hold your spirit captive, are the fallen ones, who was given charge that if we leave track, if we get off the path of righteousness, then this was put in place to punish you. See, Satan can't cross over into heaven. You have to cross into his lane in order to be held captive. So when you understand how the things happen, somehow we got put on that track. That's what exists on the opposite side of serving the Creator. It's not voodoo, it's not mythical. It's a realistic fact. But when you know yourself, when you get your eyes back, you will begin to see what I'm talking about. Emptiness. Are we not empty? Vanity. Bling bling. They know what to use. Empty. Void. Blank. Vacant. Inane. Vacuous. See, my English ain't my first language, so I'm going to be struggling with these words a little bit. Then that says, I looked up vacuous, it says, Khasar taklit. The inability to choose. It says pointless and aimless. Are our people pointless and aimless? We keep aiming in the wrong direction. We are lost. We are in a perpetual cycle of enslavement. It says exaggerated, pompous, inflated, swollen, haughty. This is what is inside of the word American that they named us, African American. Vain, conceited. Vacuity, the lack of thought or intelligence. They don't think about us, and they consider us to not have any intellect because we don't have intellect in their world. They're holding back. They kept us in the 60s, integrations. Let me show you how Satan works so you can understand, because I just was resurrected from this. Let me show you how he do. He hold back. He deny you access to his evil. Just make you fight and beg to get in. This was a trick of luring us in to be into integration. Integration was a setup. Listen, let me explain to you. From the time of the conquest of the Babylonian captivity, from the Assyrian captivity of the northern 10 tribes, the first thing they do is the people who funded the war was the sneaky Edomites behind the scenes. You know what? They paid for the war. They paid for these countries to attack. All they wanted to do was get the books, get the writings, get the secret code to how we can control the world through God's people, to use them to control the whole world. So they got the secret writings. They have been collecting the secrets to this universe for thousands of years. The same bloodline. All they've been doing is transferring their consciousness from body to body. They know how to transfer their consciousness. That's why evil can perpetuate itself this long. How is America set up exactly how Rome was set up, with the same wickedness, with the same Senate, with the same Congress, with the same so-called republic, with the same voting system? All of this is the same evil, the same serpent that convinced Adam to let him in his body to take form and come into this world is the same one that we're dealing with today. But there is a people, there is a chosen people, and we are the ones. Bear with me now. Because now that you know, when you identify yourself as an African American, you are identifying, you are accepting, you are taking responsibility for yourself being owned by the Romans, who are perpetually enemies. The Roman Catholic Church, the Roman system from way back south, are perpetual enemies of the sons and daughters of Yah. It's the serpent and Draco's bloodline, the reptilians. From the beginning of time, when he separated light from darkness, he pulled us out, they followed us back in. Hollow, Rikani, hollow, That's what they talking about. When you African American, you hollow. That's why all nations have come over here and capitalized off of us, because they know that when we called by this name. I ain't talking about how the other Americans are making it, because they are not the chosen ones. But this is the flip side of what it means to be this for you being the son of Yah, son of Israel. So you got so far from identifying yourself with the seed of Abraham and the son of Jacob and the children of the covenant that you are Afro-American. And then when they say, well, when you look up where did that come from, it points back to 2 Italians, 2 Romans who represented the Roman church, exploring the lands by prophetically going around to destroy the North American Indian, who was part of the descendants of the northern 10 tribes. But because they drew a map of the world, we don't know what the world looked like. You ain't explored it and went all the way around it. You don't know that it wasn't shaped like that over these thousands of years. This was more connected. That's why Jamaica and Ghana could be, they the same country, with the same produce, with the same stuff. That's why Ghana and Israel, there's certain plants that grow there that don't grow nowhere else in the world. We getting our Yah man back. This is what they've been trying to do. So knowing the spirit, I know that how they activate the satanic force. I know the demons. So I know that the women of my bosom, the mothers of my children, are going to be activated because they are willingly lending themselves to Satan. See, it wasn't a problem when I was a heathen, when I was lost and void of the understanding of Yah. So I understand now that I'm going back. And when you turn around, when you teshuvah, when you realize that you have been walking the wrong path and you decide to turn back around and restore yourself back to Yah, you got to turn around and walk past the same crap that you passed on the way going down. But this time you're walking back with strength. So they're going to curse you on the roadside like they did David when Absalom ran out. But now they cursing Yah because they know I represent Yah. You was not talking about me on Facebook and this and that when I was just being a nigga, when I was lost. But now that you see I'm standing for Yah, so I know that I'm dealing with spirits. I'm at peace. I'm not embarrassed by these things. It happens. I need to be reminded of the sins. I need to be reminded of the iniquity. I need to be reminded that the prodigal son laid with swine. And he was eating filth. And he slept with the daughters of men and forsaked his God. But one day he woke up and said, it was better at my father's house. This is all of us a lesson. Don't believe that you've done so much wrong that you can't turn back around to Yah. And yes, the anti-Yah, you're going to find out that the ones who slept with you and said that they love you, and you my man, and did all kinds of abominable things in closed doors with you, now will rebuke you openly when you stand for Yah. But you don't stop. I don't come on with what you coming with. Because yes, I was a sinner. I was possessed by Satan himself. And I turned around. I admitted consciously that wasn't me. That was the devil using me, because I did not obey my parents. I did not obey the teachings of the kingdom. I did not obey the teachings of the Holy One who was chosen at the time, the Malach, the Mashiach at the time, to tell us what was right. But now I'm doing it. So I'm saying, brothers and sisters, we at peace, because if all we looking for is some money to assist in the mothers of our children, we got to pay them now to help destroy your children. We got to give them money to help them be guided into the system. Revelations describes that the dragon was waiting to devour the child as soon as it was born. The dragon is the parents of the children, the anti-Yah. It was standing there, the mothers, in most cases, or the fathers, it's not biased, are waiting for the God child to be born to devour it. And we know that the word devour means to absorb into a system. If money is all you need, I will let it consume you. But right now, truth has to be told. We have to say, don't be too proud to say that I sinned. I made the mistake. Yahweh is my protection now. When you curse me, you curse the one who sent us. I'm in my Father's house. I need and want for nothing. I have no fear of man. I never lived by the opinion of what others think. But now that I'm a righteous soul, come on, we ready now. We got this. We have defined the lie. We have penetrated it. So that's just to let part 1 is of Let There Be Light. Part 9 is now to awaken it. I'm finna break down the times we in, the season that we in. That Donald Trump had the nerve to say they will be met with fury, but Yahushua, or what he called Jesus Christ, he already said in Matthew 24 in the end time that there will be a devastation like the world had never seen before since the beginning of time. Yahweh is in control. Yahweh is in control of this. So I have to seek the path of Yah, and then he will bring my children back to me. If I was dead, then everything around me was dead. You met me. You met Ben Brown. You never even met the person who was destined to speak this truth and liberate the minds of the imprisoned saints and sons of Yah. You don't know me. And because you still dwell in darkness, you don't even understand. Because if you knew who I was, you would have been protecting me with your life. We'll be right back. And I'm talking about spirit now. Now more than ever, it's time for the sons of Yahuwah, the chosen, God's elect. Don't look at numbers. 1 and 2 might and 3 might walk together, and 1 will be taken. This is the rapture. The rapture is that now we are calling out the higher level of consciousness. Let there be light. Arise and shine, for the light has come. This is the word that was spoken in Isaiah the prophet, Yeshayahu, and it's the same identical thing from Genesis 1. Let there be light. Arise and shine, for the light has come, and the glory of Yahuwah has risen upon thee. So I'm saying arise in your mind now, because now the light has come. We're speaking this truth. The world is waking up. We are the head. The only way that this world will be set in a cycle of righteousness is if we get our place back. Your place can't be taken by the Gentiles. So, what are we talking about here? Before the last time, in Let There Be Light, part 8, we were talking about Bereshit. So, and when I started at Genesis, the first chapter, I was talking about that the letters Bereshit also means Berosh. The first 3 letters, instead of in the beginning, it says inside of your head did the creation of heaven and earth become started with. So as he was forming the earth, he was forming man at the same time, the mindset. So in a new beginning, all he did was reproduce it again. The earth was made in one day. In the beginning, he created heaven and earth in one day. The rest of it was putting it in its proper order and cycles that we might live by and understand it. So we're going to start with that. I'm going to go back over from the first day, because now I'm going to the 5th, 6th, and 7th day, so you could know that this is a guide for you. If you know the days and how Yahweh created the world, then you can create your life, and this is how you can be enlightened, separate yourself from the darkness, and become who you are supposed to be in purpose. May the Lord God of Israel bless you, keep you, cause his face to shine upon you, and give you peace and eternal love. I'll be right back with part 10.